Sarah and James Richardson arrived at the Olympic National Forest Ranger Station on May 12, 2023, at approximately 8:15 a.m. According to the visitor log maintained by Park Ranger Timothy Weaver, the couple signed in for a 3-day backpacking trip along the East Fork Quinault River Trail. Sarah, 34, was an emergency room nurse at Harbor Medical Center. James, 36, worked as a structural engineer with Pacific Northwest Builders. Both were described in ranger notes as experienced hikers who had completed the Wonderland Trail circumnavigation of Mount Rainier the previous summer. Ranger Weaver recalled providing the standard safety briefing, noting in his report that the couple displayed appropriate gear and preparation. Their vehicle, a 2020 Subaru Outback, was documented in the overnight parking area with an expected return date of May 15, 2023. The weather forecast indicated clear conditions with temperatures ranging from 45 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The couple's hiking plan, filed with the ranger station, detailed their intended route. They would follow the main trail for 7.8 miles to the Graves Creek campground, then continue along the Quinault River Trail to the Enchanted Valley Chalet, approximately 13.5 miles from the trailhead. The final confirmed sighting of Sarah and James occurred at 9:27 a.m. on May 12th, when they were captured on the trailhead camera proceeding east on the main trail. Sarah wore a red North Face backpack and navy hiking pants. James carried a green Osprey pack and wore a gray, moisture-wicking shirt. Both had trekking poles. The image quality, rated 810 in the Ranger report, showed nothing unusual about their demeanor or equipment. On May 16, 2023, at 10:42 a.m., Ranger Weaver noted the Richardson vehicle remained in the parking area, 1 day past their expected return. Following standard protocol for overdue hikers, rangers initiated a preliminary welfare check, radioing to backcountry stations along their planned route. No stations reported contact with the couple. At 4:30 p.m., with no sign of the Richardsons and no response to messages left at trail markers, Ranger Weaver elevated the situation to missing persons, Priority 2, and contacted the Olympic National Park Search and Rescue Coordination Center. The initial search operation commenced at 600 hours on May 17th, with 3 ground teams deployed along the planned route and adjacent trails. SAR coordinator Elaine Martinez documented fair weather conditions with visibility at 12-plus miles and temperatures between 48 and 65 degrees. Team Alpha, led by SAR specialist Derek Holloway, reported finding the couple's campsite at Graves Creek, apparently abandoned in good order. According to Holloway's field notes, site shows normal use with no signs of disturbance, fire properly extinguished, bare canister sealed and secured per regulations. Appears subjects continued on their planned route. Team Bravo, covering the Enchanted Valley segment, found no evidence of the Richardsons' presence at any established campsite. Team Charlie, assigned to potential deviation routes, similarly reported negative findings. By sunset on May 17th, SAR operations had covered approximately 22 linear miles of trails without locating the missing hikers. Martinez authorized helicopter surveillance for the following day. On May 18th, Washington State Patrol Helicopter Ranger 3 conducted aerial sweeps of the planned route and surrounding terrain, covering 45 square miles during a 3.7-hour flight. Pilot Jeffrey Mendoza and Tactical Flight Officer Lisa Chen documented 0 contacts or indications despite favorable search conditions. The helicopter was equipped with FLIR, forward-looking infrared, technology capable of detecting human heat signatures through forest canopy of moderate density. No significant thermal anomalies were recorded. The search was expanded to include drainages and off-trail areas within a 2-mile radius of the planned route. By May 20, 2023, the search operation had grown to include 47 personnel, 6 canine teams, and volunteer mountaineers from Olympic Mountain Rescue. SAR Coordinator Martinez's situation report noted, Comprehensive coverage of all logical routes and deviations completed without contact. Weather has remained favorable. No distress signals detected. No evidence of equipment, clothing, or other items belonging to subjects located. Analysis of the Richardson's cell phone records by FBI technical analyst Victor Ramirez confirmed the last transmission from either device occurred at 9:42 a.m. on May 12th, when James's phone pinged a tower near the park entrance. This was consistent with the phones moving out of coverage areas, as expected on their planned route. Credit cards and banking accounts registered to the couple showed no activity after May 11th. On May 23rd, after 7 days of intensive search operations covering over 120 square miles, SAR Coordinator Martinez, in consultation with Park Superintendent Catherine Barnes, transitioned the operation from active search to ongoing investigation. The decision was documented in the Incident Command Log. Despite exhaustive ground, air, and technical search methodologies, no evidence of subject's location or condition has been obtained. Search has exceeded statistical survival window. Resources will be reassigned while investigation continues. The case remained open with periodic trail checks and information bulletins distributed to backcountry travelers throughout the summer and fall of 2023. The Richardsons' families, through attorney Michael Harrington, expressed dissatisfaction with the decision to scale back search efforts, but acknowledged the extensive resources already deployed. Public interest in the disappearance generated numerous reported sightings, none of which yielded verifiable information. By December 2023, the case had been transferred to the National Park Service Cold Case Unit, where it was assigned to investigator Patricia Coleman. Coleman's initial case review noted several inconsistencies requiring further examination. The couple's campsite at Graves Creek appeared to have been used for one night, indicating they had followed their itinerary at least through the first day. Their bear canister contained food sufficient for the planned 3-day trip, minus approximately 1 day's consumption. No personal identification or cell phones were found at the campsite. Most notably, Coleman highlighted the unusual neatness of the abandoned campsite. Site appears methodically prepared for departure, inconsistent with emergency evacuation or animal disturbance. Subjects clearly intended to continue their journey. On November 18, 2024, at approximately 14:20 hours, recreational climber Martin Sobel was rappelling into Shattered Canyon, a remote formation approximately 4.2 miles northeast of the Enchanted Valley Chalet and 1.8 miles off any established trail. The canyon, characterized by near vertical walls ranging from 200 to 350 feet in height, is not designated for recreation and appears on park maps with a hazard warning. According to Sobel's statement, he was approximately 120 feet into his descent when he observed what appeared to be a makeshift shelter constructed of natural materials and what looked like pieces of camping equipment. Sobel, an emergency medical technician, continued his descent and discovered 2 severely emaciated individuals, later identified as Sarah and James Richardson. His emergency call, routed through a satellite phone at 14:38 hours, described the subjects as alive but in critical condition, showing signs of prolonged malnutrition, exposure, and physical trauma. Sobel administered emergency first aid while coordinating with Park Service dispatch for emergency evacuation. Due to the technical difficulty of the location and the critical condition of the subjects, a specialized high-angle rescue team was deployed via helicopter. National Guard Captain Andrea Wilkins piloted the extraction operation, which required 4 team members to be lowered into the canyon. Medical Officer Sergeant Thomas Rivera provided the initial assessment. Male subject presenting with compound fractures to right tibia and fibula, significant muscle atrophy, severe malnutrition, estimated at 55% of healthy body weight, multiple pressure ulcers, and signs of systemic infection. Female subject presenting with malnutrition, moderate dehydration, untreated lacerations on extremities, and psychological distress. both subjects responsive but disoriented. The extraction operation lasted 3 hours and 17 minutes, complicated by deteriorating weather conditions and the precarious location of the subjects. At 18:45 hours, both Sarah and James Richardson were airlifted to Harbor Medical Center in Port Angeles. Emergency Room Director Dr. Eleanor Chang classified both patients as critical but stable upon admission. Medical records indicated Sarah's weight at admission was 92 pounds, down from her documented pre-incident weight of 135 pounds. James weighed 121 pounds, compared to his previous recorded weight of 188 pounds. Initial questioning of the subjects was limited by their medical condition and apparent psychological trauma. Sarah Richardson, though physically capable of communication, provided fragmented and often contradictory statements. According to the intake psychological assessment performed by Dr. Raymond Foster, she exhibited symptoms consistent with prolonged traumatic stress, including disorientation, memory gaps, and extreme anxiety when discussing the incident. James Richardson remained largely nonverbal during the first 72 hours of hospitalization, communicating primarily through nods and written notes. The makeshift shelter discovered by climber Sobel was documented by NPS forensic technician Angela Diaz. Her report described a structure approximately 8 feet in length and 5 feet in width, constructed primarily of fallen timber, branches, and stones. The interior contained remnants of the Richardsons' backpacking equipment, including shredded fragments of their tent, a damaged camp stove, and one severely worn hiking boot identified as matching the brand purchased by James prior to the trip. Most significantly, Diaz's team recovered a weather-damaged notebook containing approximately 30 pages of handwritten entries. Forensic analysis of the notebook, conducted by FBI document examiner Harold Morris, confirmed the handwriting matched samples of Sarah Richardson's writing. The entries, though partially illegible due to water damage and exposure, provided the first chronological account of the incident. The earliest legible entry was dated May 13, 2023. Lost trail after creek crossing. Jay says we need to backtrack but storm making visibility poor. Setting up emergency camp on ridge. Subsequent entries documented increasingly desperate circumstances, including an entry dated May 15th, Jay fell trying to find route back to main trail. Bad leg injury. Can't put weight on it. Used emergency splint. No cell signal. Need to find better shelter before nightfall. The most disturbing element of the notebook emerged in entries dated approximately 2 weeks after their disappearance. Sarah wrote, "Not alone in canyon? Saw lights again last night. Jay thinks I'm hallucinating from stress, but I know something is down there with us. Moving shelter deeper under rock overhang, where it can't see us." Investigators initially attributed these entries to the psychological effects of trauma and isolation. However, the recovery of James Richardson's separate journal on November 22nd, located in a crevice approximately 30 feet from the shelter, introduced troubling corroboration. James, whose technical background was evident in his methodical documentation, had created a crude map of the canyon floor with numbered locations. His entry from June 8, 21 in Sequent, date 2023 stated, "Movement at location 3 again. Not animal. Watches for hours. Without moving. S wanted to call out, but I convinced her to remain silent." When it approached shelter, left identical arrangement of stones as found at entrance yesterday. Deliberate communication attempt? The physical evidence recovered from the canyon site underwent extensive analysis at the FBI Regional Laboratory. Senior technician Melissa Wong identified several anomalies that defied immediate explanation. A circle of stones approximately 6 feet in diameter was located 40 yards from the shelter, containing burned material that testing confirmed was not from the couple's equipment or clothing. Trace analysis detected an unidentified organic compound with a chemical structure inconsistent with known natural or commercial substances. Most puzzling was the discovery of 5 identical arrangements of 3 stones stacked vertically, placed at apparently precise 72-degree intervals around the shelter at a radius of exactly 50 feet. Sarah Richardson's physical condition improved more rapidly than her husband's. By December 10, 2024, she was capable of more coherent communication, though Dr. Foster noted she remained highly agitated when discussing specific periods of their ordeal. During a recorded interview with investigator Coleman, Sarah provided her first continuous account of the events following their disappearance. According to her statement, the couple had followed their planned route to Graves Creek without incident. On the morning of May 13th, they continued toward Enchanted Valley, but diverted from the main trail to photograph a series of waterfalls approximately half a mile off route. While returning to the trail, a sudden severe weather system reduced visibility to less than 15 feet. In their attempt to regain the trail, they found themselves on unfamiliar terrain. Sarah stated, "We were trying to use the GPS on James's phone, but it showed our location as somewhere completely different from where we thought we were. Then, the battery died." Their situation deteriorated when James, attempting to climb a ridge for better visibility, fell approximately 30 feet down a scree slope, sustaining the compound fracture to his right leg. Sarah described fashioning an emergency splint using trekking poles and strips of clothing. With James unable to walk and the weather worsening, they constructed an emergency shelter. Sarah's account of their location contradicted the eventual discovery site. She believed they were in a small ravine several miles northwest of their actual position. The most significant discrepancy in Sarah's testimony concerned the duration of their ordeal. She maintained a firm belief that they had been in the canyon for about 2 months, expressing visible shock when informed they had been missing for 18 months. When pressed on this point, she became agitated, stating, "That's not possible. We kept track of the days. We marked them on the wall of the shelter. It was summer when we were found. It had to be summer." James Richardson's medical recovery progressed more slowly due to complications from his untreated fractures and resulting infections. On January 3, 2025, he was deemed medically stable enough for formal questioning. FBI Special Agent Marcus Tanner conducted the interview with a trauma-informed approach, allowing James to dictate the pace and focus. Unlike his wife, James displayed a clear awareness of the extended time period, stating, "We survived 2 winters in that canyon. We counted 545 days before we stopped keeping track." When asked how they survived for such an extended period with limited supplies, James described a careful rationing system that lasted approximately 3 weeks. After their food was exhausted, they subsisted on whatever we could find: insects, plants, occasionally small animals we could trap. He credited Sarah's medical knowledge with their survival. She knew which plants were safe, how to clean wounds, how to keep infection at bay with almost nothing. The most troubling segment of James's testimony concerned the final months in the canyon. He described an escalating series of unexplained events beginning approximately 10 months into their ordeal. At first, it was just sounds, not animals, not wind, rhythmic, deliberate. Then we started finding things arranged outside our shelter: stones, branches, once our own cooking pot placed in the center of a perfect circle of pine cones that hadn't been there the night before. James maintained that something or someone else was in the canyon with them, describing a presence that stayed just at the edge of visibility. When asked directly if he had seen another person, he responded, "Not exactly a person. It moved wrong. The proportions weren't right." Medical staff noted his elevated heart rate and respiration during this portion of the interview. Most disturbing was James's account of why they had not attempted to climb out of the canyon. "We tried twice. Both times we found the route altered when we returned. The second time, all our remaining supplies had been arranged in a spiral while we were gone. After that, we understood we were meant to stay." Forensic analysis of the canyon site continued through February 20. 2025. Ground-penetrating radar identified an underground chamber approximately 30 feet below the canyon floor, near the location marked as 3 on James's crude map. Park Service officials, citing safety concerns, initially refused requests to excavate or explore the chamber. After pressure from the FBI investigation team, a remote camera was lowered through a natural fissure on February 12, 2025. The camera footage, reviewed by a joint NPS-FBI team, revealed a natural chamber approximately 15 feet in diameter containing several anomalous features. The official report described stone formations consistent with deliberate arrangement rather than natural processes, and markings on the chamber walls that preliminary analysis suggests are not the result of geological processes. Most significantly, the chamber contained a collection of objects, including items identified as belonging to 3 different hikers reported missing in Olympic National Park between 1997 and 2008. None of these individuals had ever been found. Sarah Richardson was released from medical care on February 20, 2025, having regained approximately 60% of her pre-incident weight. Psychological evaluation indicated ongoing post-traumatic stress but sufficient stability for outpatient treatment. James Richardson remained hospitalized until March 15th, requiring multiple surgeries to address the improperly healed fractures. Both were relocated to an undisclosed location under the care of family members. The investigation took an unexpected turn on April 3, 2025, when Park Ranger Timothy Weaver, who had initially logged the Richardsons' arrival at the trailhead in May 2023, was reported missing after failing to return from a routine patrol near Shattered Canyon. Search operations located his equipment and vehicle, but Weaver himself remained unaccounted for. During a search of his residence on April 8th, investigators discovered a hidden room containing detailed maps of Olympic National Park with multiple locations marked in a cipher code, including the precise coordinates of Shattered Canyon. Also recovered were notebooks containing entries dating back to 1994 written in the same cipher. When decoded by FBI cryptanalysts, the entries revealed a disturbing pattern of knowledge about previous disappearances in the park, including information never released to the public. Most significantly, an entry dated May 10, 2023, 2 days before the Richardsons began their hike, read, "Subjects identified. Trail diversion point prepared. Weather system deployment scheduled. Collection imminent." FBI Special Agent in Charge Diana Walker classified the Richardson case as part of a much larger investigation, stating in an internal memo dated May 15, 2025, "Evidence strongly suggests former Ranger Weaver's involvement in multiple disappearances spanning at least 3 decades. His technical background in meteorology and former military training in psychological operations provide capability for the environmental manipulation described by surviving victims." On September 30, 2025, Timothy Weaver was located in a remote cabin 50 miles east of Olympic National Park. The arrest operation, conducted by FBI Tactical Response, recovered additional evidence including sophisticated weather modification equipment, surveillance devices, and journals detailing what Weaver termed the continuation of ancient practices. According to the arrest report, Weaver offered no resistance and stated only, "They were never meant to escape. The process was incomplete." Psychological evaluation of Weaver by forensic psychiatrist Dr. Lawrence Patel documented a complex delusional system involving belief in an ancient entity requiring human offerings. Dr. Patel's report noted Weaver's exceptional intelligence and methodical approach. Subject has constructed an elaborate system around his delusions, including detailed protocols for selecting, acquiring, and containing victims. He displays no conventional indicators of psychosis, despite profound break with consensus reality. The full extent of Weaver's activities remains under investigation. Forensic teams have identified 17 potential sites in Olympic National Park that match patterns found at Shattered Canyon. Ground-penetrating radar has confirmed subsurface anomalies at 12 of these locations. Recovery operations are ongoing. Sarah and James Richardson have declined all public comment on their ordeal. Through their attorney, they issued a single statement: "We are focusing on our recovery and request privacy as we rebuild our lives. What happened in Olympic National Park should remain there." Medical professionals continue to monitor their physical and psychological recovery, with Dr. Foster noting that both exhibit unusual synchronization of stress responses and sleep disturbances, consistent with shared trauma, but unusual in its precise alignment. The most recent development occurred on November 12, 2025, when analysis of stone samples from the underground chamber in Shattered Canyon revealed microscopic engravings visible only under electron microscopy. According to Dr. Eliza Newcomb of the University of Washington Archaeology Department, the patterns bear striking resemblance to petroglyphs documented in the region dating to approximately 8,000 years before present, associated with ritual sites of the ancient Olympic Peninsula cultures. The case remains active, with particular focus on Timothy Weaver's claim during initial interrogation that others continue the work in my absence. FBI geographic profiling has identified 3 current Park Service employees whose movement patterns correlate with known incident locations. Surveillance has been authorized, but no additional arrests have been made. Olympic National Park remains open to the public, though certain backcountry areas, including Shattered Canyon, have been closed indefinitely, officially due to geological instability. The Richardson case file, currently extending to 2,347 pages of documentation, concludes with a notation from Special Agent Walker. Regardless of the full extent of Weaver's network or the exact methodology employed, the facts remain that 2 individuals survived conditions that should have been fatal, in a location they could not have reached accidentally, with evidence of intervention that cannot be explained through conventional understanding. The investigation continues,